Um, that's how that's just setting up. All right. We we are here today. I'm so excited live with Courtney. Courtney, I mean, you've lost so much weight, but more importantly, you have really, just really given yourself a belief and hope. So can you just tell us first who you are, your life, just all about you and how you got, you came to us.
Sure. Well, there's a lot in that then, if I'm going back to how I came to you guys. I am Courtney Clampett. I am 43. I am a mom of two, a wife of one husband. My daughter just turned 8, and my son will be 5 tomorrow.
Wow.
Um, I am a speech language pathologist by trade, and I manage one of the rehab departments at a local acute care hospital. So busy, working full time, raising 2 kids, coaching soccer. Yeah, and how I got to you guys, I guess in addition to that, I am a breast cancer survivor. Um, I had my son in April of 2019. All good, everything's fine. Well, not totally fine. Had some issues after that, working with pelvic floor PT, really trying to get strong, get kind of back to how I was feeling before. Generally have been an active person and have active role models in my life. My parents are both in their 60s and still very active. So, just looking to get back to feeling myself. So moving forward with that. And then in November of 2019, October, I felt a lump. In November 2019, I was diagnosed with triple positive breast cancer. So I was still nursing at the time. Went from being pregnant to nursing to starting chemo the month later, which put me into menopause. Your body, I can't imagine the roller coaster that my body was just going through hormonally with that. Did 5 months of chemo, finished right after the world shut down with the pandemic. So that put me at home with 2 kids, trying to work full time, but I really couldn't be in the hospital. At one point, our hospital had 150 COVID patients as I waited for my mastectomy in April. During that time, I was not active really at all. And then recovery and had another reconstructive surgery in October of that year. So just a lot of setbacks physically and limitations. After that, I continued infusions for another 6 months. I had a couple-month break, and I got back to being a little bit more active, trying the things that I used to know and used to work for me, but kind of with this new body that I didn't really know how to work with. And then I had a year of medication that was really limiting in terms of what I could eat. I really couldn't eat anything green. It for not too TMI went right through me. So
Yeah.
I ate what I could. I was tired. I was exhausted. That medication took a big toll on my body, but I made it through. And after that, that was a lot of focus on myself for somebody who's used to being a caregiver. So I kind of turned my focus outward for a little while too, really needing to kind of work on stuff, work through things with my husband. I mean, we had just been through a whole lot in the last, 3 years. Really wasn't focusing on myself, kind of, neglecting. And so after all that was said and done, I was back up to the weight that I was when I was 41 weeks pregnant with my son, and just not knowing where to start. And it was so overwhelming. You read so many things online about different ways to lose weight, things like that in menopause, different challenges, and that feels very overwhelming. And in addition, the medications that I still continue to be on, all I hear about in my Facebook groups, and even from medical providers, yeah, you're gonna gain weight, and it's gonna be twice as hard to lose it. And that's tough. That's tough to hear. That's tough to kind of wrap your head around. And, I wasn't, mind space wise, I didn't see myself necessarily as an unfit person or anything like that. But I would look at myself and not recognize myself, and not like how I felt, just being tired all the time and everything. I knew something, kind of had to change, but again, just didn't know where to start. So through a Facebook group, I heard about you guys and kind of been following along peripherally for a little while, but just not, ready to take the jump. And then you guys had offered for your birthday a scholarship opportunity, and I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is my time. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So I wrote up my application and then I deleted it. And then I was like, well, what are you doing? And so then I rewrote it and I sent it. And I was very honored to receive a scholarship, to be able to put towards this work. So yeah, that was long, but that's kind of how I got to you guys. And, I think, I don't know if, getting into all this stuff, but what drew me to you guys in particular was, again, being young, going through menopause early, not understanding what to do with that, the changes. You were very open with your story. Sarah being an OT and having worked in healthcare, I'm like, okay, if anybody's going to get my experience on any level, it's these two women. They know the challenges I've had, things like that. So it really felt like the time and, the right fit.
I'm so happy. And I also want you guys to give Courtney a lot of love, a lot of heart emojis, because it takes a lot of guts and bravery to share that story, because you have been through a lot. So I really, really want to thank you, because this is going to inspire a lot of women who have been through what you've been through to believe. And that's the first thing I want, because as you know, like those of us like myself and like you who have been through medical things, who have felt like we don't feel like we're in our body, we aren't feeling good, and we've been told by medical professionals like you can't do this. And I thought that too, and then it's just not the truth. So we those of you who have been there, so what, if any, past experiences did you have with trying to, get in shape, lose the weight, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I've been able to, oh, let me just pick up running again for a little while, or, did a lot of kind of HIIT classes and things like that, which I enjoyed, and they worked, but, that's a gym that's over an hour long, just the class itself. I don't have time for that, right now in my life. And, those things weren't necessarily working. When I was getting back into them, I didn't have a plan this go around. Like I didn't have a plan. I didn't know where to start. And again, the things that I was used to trying weren't necessarily, cutting it. So yeah.
That's interesting. Like, so the things that you used to work weren't working
Yeah.
anymore. And when you first started with us, you said you like deleted your application and then you went back to it. Like, what were you skeptical or fearful about before starting?
Um, I mean, it's scary starting new things and, really looking at, what am I doing right? What am I not doing right? Really doing a lot of that self-reflection. And also just, I think I was at a point like, again, just hearing, the challenges with losing weight with, kind of my diagnosis, things like that. That I was trying to like wrap my head around like, okay, like this is what it is for me. And I was kind of trying to justify that, that was okay. But physically how I felt like that for me wasn't okay. Like I didn't have the energy I usually have, and, wanted to show up in that way for my kids and things like that. And just, things were limiting. God, I went skiing with my daughter this year and I was like, oh, I can barely put on my boot buckle. I'm gonna have my 7-year-old daughter try to like buckle this thing for me because I can't like reach down there to get it. So I totally lost track of where that question was. Oh,
No.
I know where it went.
Yeah.
But just, the fear of what if I can't do this? What if this is my reality? And, the it's scary to take that leap, and give that try. And because if this doesn't work, then where am I? What's left?
Yeah. And what kind of made you take that leap of faith? What was it that made you take the leap?
I think just, again, I was at a point where like I was like, I need to do something. I have to try something. Like I'm not ready to just accept that this is, how I'm gonna be. So for me, I was really kind of at that point. And then just kind of that, connection with you guys, and again, kind of the scholarship opportunity. It was like, okay, maybe this is just kind of the sign, the push. When you put money into it, there's more skin in the game, things like that. But for me, like I told you when we first talked, I've always been like a team sport kind of person. I don't necessarily like have that internal drive of like I got to be the fastest person out there, but I'm sure I'm not going to be the last person out there. And I'm not going to let my team down. So having the support of you guys, and also just that generosity and everything, that's motivating to me too. Like I don't want to let you guys down. You're putting your time and effort into me as well. I'm gonna show up.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about showing up. What are your biggest wins for yourself?
um I mean, just the consistency. But I have to say, like, you guys have made that really easy. Because again, just kind of looking at this, it can be so overwhelming. Oh my God, when I first got all that information, I was like, oh my God, I mean, I can't do this. I remember day two of like trying to track stuff in the app, and it was like I couldn't figure out the conversions of like cups to this and all this. And I was like ready to throw that scale. And I'm almost in tears. And my husband was like, it's day two. Like, you're gonna figure it out. I was like, okay. I was like, but I need you to math for me. But the showing up for me isn't the hardest part, because you guys make it easy. It's just laid out for me. Like all I have to do is I literally like my alarm goes off at 5:30 and I just go into robot mode. Like that's just what I've done. Like there's no laying around, there's nothing. I just get up and go. I put my clothes out the night before. And I don't look at social media. I do nothing. I go downstairs, I hit that start button. And it's right there. Like I don't have to make any choices. That's the thing that has been so beneficial for me, just not having to think about it, because I have so many other things to think about in life right now, and I just show up and do it.
That's great. We always get that, like you take away decision fatigue and it makes
Yep.
it so easy. So how has your life changed based on kind of working with this program, changing your lifestyle like this?
Yeah. I mean, I feel more like myself than I have in 6 years. Like I said, my son turns 5 tomorrow. So I've been, either kind of pregnant or through treatment for the last, couple years. So I feel more like myself than I have in a long, long time. Energy wise, I mean, I was having to schedule my weekends like around a nap, because like I had to nap. I love a nap. I'm still gonna take a nap if I want a nap, but I had to nap. I'm not having to do that anymore. Coaching soccer, like I can run around the field and I'm not winded. I'm not like, oh my God, do the girls like notice that I'm dying over here? I can do lots of landscaping that, I can do it easily. I feel strong. I feel capable. I feel empowered. Like I'm a very goal kind of, driven person. And I feel good that I've kind of gotten back to that. So that, I mean, that's really been a big change. And, through my journey, I've done a lot of work with therapists and things like that, mental health stuff, and kind of those boundaries. And I got away from that a little bit. So, just showing up for myself.
That is really powerful. Boundaries are really powerful to set for yourself. What was it like working with us? Like, what was the experience like, and what were you not expecting?
Um, I mean, working with both of you guys, personally, individually, you both have been so supportive, responsive. I've enjoyed our calls that we've had together. I really like learning and the why, and you guys do a great job of laying that out in a way that's relatable, understandable, things like that. I actually initially I was like, oh, there's no meal plan, like what? But I actually really like there's not a meal plan, because like you said, you have to eat what you want to eat. Like you show me a meal plan that has like, I don't know, ground beef, like I don't eat red meat in general, so I'm not going to do that. So just figuring out how to navigate things that work for me and for my family. I haven't changed what I'm eating, just how I'm eating, when I'm eating, different things like that. Understanding what keeps me full, what doesn't, how to make those kind of choices and those sacrifices. I have in my head sometimes, if I'm deciding between something, I'll be like, that's not in alignment with my goals right now. But in the back of my head, I'm also like, maybe it will be one day. So that's fine. But on a personal level, like you guys are so, again, relatable and supportive, and, supportive, but in an honest way. And I think another thing is that the community has been really nice. I came to the Galentine's event, I think on my third week, and like I'm not necessarily an extroverted person in new situations and things like that. But everybody was really welcoming. Everybody was really chatty. So it just made it easy. So that was really nice too. So I guess that was kind of surprising to me how much I actually would enjoy that piece of it. But yeah, I mean, I love working with you guys. I like that I can send you little funny things and you guys can laugh along with me, and, stuff like that. And if there's an occasional, F-bomb or something, like it's fine. We just roll with how it is. So it just feels relatable.
I love that you mentioned that we don't do meal plans because I'm very anti-meal plan because I feel like with a meal plan, there's not really learning involved. And we
Yeah.
kind of teach you how to eat through vacation, how to eat through if you're sick, how to eat through your life and tweaks on how you do you. So we make it not like it worked for me, how it works for you, right? So I
Yep.
love that you mentioned that because now you know what to do for your body in any situation, which is the goal, right?
Yep.
Um, which it makes it harder for us, but that's what we want. We want that for you. So, how did the experience kind of help you overcome your original fear, of starting?
Um, I mean, again, it was nice to not have any of the decisions. I mean, aside from like kind of my meals and things like that. But again, just sticking with what I'm used to, that part felt easy. Aside from getting used to the tracking. But can you say that again? Because now I lost my train of thought.
So, like in the beginning, I know you were afraid, and we
Fear.
talked about
Yes.
this. Is like a lot of doctors, medical professionals were like, you can't lose the weight. And you
Yeah.
were afraid. Like that's a legitimate fear.
Yeah.
So how did the experience help you overcome that fear? You overcome that fear.
Yeah. So again, it was just kind of laid out easy for me. I showed up, it worked. That made it easy. That made me get over the fear, that first drop in the scale, that second drop in the scale, that third drop in the scale. It was like, oh, like this actually is possible. I mean, I lost more weight than I had any anticipation that I would lose here. I was going to be like 10 pounds, great, with everything that I was hearing that it was going to be so hard, and it's like twice as hard as it was before. And I'm like, well, God, I was working hard before. Like, I can't do that. So just that results, made it really motivating, and kind of alleviated that fear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm really, really glad to hear that. So I want you to imagine yourself like, a couple weeks back. And I want you to imagine you're thinking about maybe doing this program. Like a lot of people are, right? We get a lot of people who are thinking about it. They've read our content, they've listened to our lives for a couple months now, maybe years. I got people who come in, they're scheduling a call or thinking about scheduling a call. What would you tell someone who's considering doing this program? If they're like, Courtney, should I do this? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, I mean, if they're ready to do the work, absolutely. There's no time not to do it. There's always going to be reasons not to, but there's also no reason not to. If you are ready, now's the time. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, you have to put in work, but you guys make it you guys make it easy. Again, taking out the decision, the guesswork, all of that. I just literally followed what you told me. And it worked. And you guys, and you have the support there to get you through the challenges and kind of that fear initially and everything. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I say. If you're ready and it's, you're feeling like, yeah, you have the support to get through any of the fear or any of the challenges that might be kind of holding you back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad you shared that because in life, there's always something going on. Like show me a parent when a parent that there's like, oh, things are slowing down now. There's always a holiday, there's
Yeah.
always a vacation. Like that's just always how it is. So is there anything else that you want to add, that you want to share about your life, your experience, anything that I know today is a really special day for you. So I just wanted you to share you know.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, so yesterday was my 4 years NED. And for those who don't know what that means, it means no evidence of disease. So that was my 4 year anniversary from my mastectomy. So treatment has worked. Knock on wood, all the things that it continues to work and everything. But yeah, I just feel like there was a podcast that I had listened to a while back on kind of the fear of recurrence and things like that. And something really spoke to me, and it's kind of become my motto of we can choose how much we don't choose cancer. We can't choose if it's coming back or not. So there's always going to be that fear. What we can choose is how much of our life we give to that fear, right? I can choose to totally succumb to that, or I can choose to acknowledge it, recognize it for what it is, and choose every day to live in joy, vibrancy, and health. I've really been trying to move towards out of the surviving phase to kind of the thriving phase. And I feel like joy and vibrancy, I've kind of got down, but the health part, I kind of felt fraud about. My daughter did a thing. It was like Mother's Day last year. What's your mom really good at? And she said exercising. And I was like, oh, well, I like that you say that, but I don't believe that. So this is really that final piece to that for me, kind of bringing that health to my everyday life, which I'm just very thankful for. And now I feel like I really can live that. And it just increases the joy and vibrancy in every day too.
I love that you shared that. I remember you sharing that on our first call together. And I really want to emphasize this. Your joy is your job. So it is your job to take action. Like you said, like there's never a good time. Oh, like I'm really busy right now. Like I hear that a lot. And I want to be like, there's not a time where you're not, there's never a good time, right? There's always life. And the trick is to
Yeah,
navigate whatever's going on. Because if you can do this during your busiest time, then you got this. So I'm so honored to serve you, to be a part of your life. And thank you so much for sharing today and being brave. I really, really
absolutely.
appreciate you. Thank you, Courtney.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Bye.
Bye.